You have to have patience because sometimes you're doing the same thing for days, maybe even weeks on end. You have to be self-motivated. If you need someone to kick you to get going, you're not going to succeed. You have to be able to get up yourself and say, this needs doing today, and just do it. And then I think you learn to love it. I don't know how that transforms, but it does. Work can become something that you can really enjoy. My name's Christina Allen. I'm here at Allen's Heirloom Homestead. That's what we call the place versus a farm, because we try to raise all of our own food. We grow most everything. We have small fruits, large fruits. We grow most of our own vegetables. We have eggs from the chickens. The roosters become meat. The rare turkeys are a source of meat, and I process usually 1 sheep a year for our red meat. I also do spinning and weaving. I use the fiber for spinning and making that into yarn and making that into garments. All year long, we live with the seasons. Every season has work to do. In the spring, it's mostly planting and seed starting. Baby chicks are hatching out. Turkeys are setting on eggs. Everything needs to be planted, transplanted, or started.
Even though kitchen gardening sometimes looks like chaos to an untrained eye, it does have a plan and it does have a purpose, and every plant is planted right where it's supposed to be. Gardening doesn't happen fast. We don't just plant in May, harvest in September, and the year is over. It's a constant planting back and rotational crops and understanding what you can plant after a crop that makes the soil productive and doesn't steal nutrients from the soil, that it gives it back. One of the most important things I think I've learned from Christina is companion planting. That's the idea that you're planting a fruit or a vegetable with other plants that will repel pests, increase yields, and improve the soil. That sort of knowledge is folk knowledge that has to be maintained person to person. Here in Southern Maryland, in St. Mary's County, even in the town we're in, Christina knows the things that need to be planted with those fruits or vegetables to maximize your food. I saw what they were doing here at their property, 40 years of gardening, 40 years of providing for her family from the soil. She had the knowledge I needed, and I knew that if I asked her, that she would tell me what I needed to know. We set out to create a place where we could feed our children from the land, create a beautiful place to live, and somewhere where we want to stay forever.
I want to pass on the knowledge to the next generations or anybody that wants to learn it so it's not lost. Because when you've lost knowledge, it's gone. You won't even know what you're missing. The white ones with the barring, the stripes on the feathers, are Jersey buff turkeys. It's the most critically endangered turkey in the world. In fact, these may be all that's left. The turkeys are part of our integrated system with our orchard for organic control. They eat all the fallen fruit, they eat the bugs around the trees. So I'm not going to give up yet. There's still a chance that maybe we can save the breed. I think it's interesting how they all gobble at the same second. Somehow they can synchronize. It does bother me to lose something forever. I mean, lack of diversity in anything, whether it be people or your stock portfolio or a number of plants or anything, is a poorer system. I'm a professional artist. That's what my profession is, my business. The gardening is more of a serious avocation, but it became more important because of my husband's food allergies. It started by necessity, but then it kind of just grew. It's once you start doing something, you go down that rabbit hole and you start to say, what happens if we do this? What if we put in that? And like art, you have to love the process. You do appreciate it when you've worked hard for it. I really love having a meal where the food we grew ourselves and actually about as fresh and unprocessed as possible.
It brings me pride to be able to put a meal on the table that is something that we produced from our land. This lifestyle takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, but the rewards are significant. It's definitely pretty wild to think that my children know where their food comes from, which is not a connection that most kids have. It's not a connection that most adults have. That means a lot to me to know that it came out of our soil that we've developed, and the looks on their faces when they get to eat it just brings a lot of joy.